Hello and welcome to FTD Talk. My name is John James and I am a writer and campaigner for male victims of female perpetrated domestic violence. Today in episode 7, we head over to the States to talk to Henry about his relationship with a male perpetrator. Like everybody that comes on the show, his tale is horrific. This is Henry's story. Welcome Henry to FTD Talk.
Okay.
And I guess we'll start at the beginning and ask how you and your partner met.
Well, we met when off Growler, a dating app, and it was kind of like when I was just ending one relationship and kind of just like looking, to just move on with my life. I found this guy who just happened to be something I was looking for, or at least I thought I was looking for. And he was coming out of a divorce with his now ex-wife. So
Okay, and did you hook up straight away? Was it sort of love at first sight, or
not entirely? It was more we hooked up, and then I didn't think I'd ever see him again. And then he contacted me like 2 weeks later, asking me if I wanted to go on another date, and I was just kind of like, okay. And then from there, it kind of just progressed into a relationship.
And how was the relationship in the beginning?
In the beginning, when we were in Texas, it was really good. I mean, it was a decent relationship. I mean, it wasn't violent. It wasn't abusive. That happened more when we moved away from my family and moved from Texas to Florida. That's when everything just changed.
Is that the first time you realized that things weren't quite right?
It wasn't the first time. Some things just didn't make up with like his stories and stuff like that, like him getting hurt at work. And then I was just brushed it off because I just, didn't really think about it. And now looking back at it, like all the stuff he basically bought for me was basically, buying my love. Like he basically was buying me computer parts. He was buying me whatever I basically was looking at online. And that should have been honestly my first like major red flag, was he knew what I was looking at online without actually getting on my computer. So he knew what I wanted without me really even saying it. If I'm coming across correctly, like he basically was getting on my computer without me knowing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that should have been a red flag for me.
Were there any other signs? Did he talk to you in a harsh manner or manipulate you in any way?
I would say manipulating probably. There was a lot of negativity from his ex-wife, so I kind of just contributed to that because I was like, oh, it's just, his ex-wife's talking trash, because they are getting divorced and she doesn't want him to be happy. Now I realize she was right. She was trying to warn me about everything that, this guy's a sociopath and a psychopath mixed into one, is complete, understatement. I mean, this dude is, if I could say lightly, he is a psychopath. I mean, he doesn't care who he hurts.
When you say that things started to get worse when you moved away from your family, was that his idea to move away, or was that a joint plan?
I think it was more he knew I wanted to go back to where my friends were. So he basically influenced my decision to move back to where my friends were by, manipulating me. It wasn't, now I realize it wasn't my decision because of, how he manipulated me.
Right. And did you lose contact with your family when you moved away, or did you stay in touch?
Not really. I mean, he almost destroyed my relationship with my mom. But at the same time, they were paying my rent and stuff. So they were paying, for him to live with me and stuff like that. So I think like he was more in the relationship for my money and not really in it for me.
Right. And when did you see the abuse escalate?
That was basically after like a month or so in Florida. Um, he wanted to start a triad relationship with another guy, and I was not gonna have that. I'm one of those people that I rather just have a single relationship, me and one person. I'm not gonna add another person to my relationship.
Yeah.
I just can't do that. Like, I'm sorry, it just and he basically lost his shit over lunch because I told him it was either gonna be this guy or me. It's not gonna be both, and he needed to make that decision for me right then and there. So I basically broke up with him at lunch and then proceeded to go get in his car, and he jumped in the car, and while we were driving back to the apartment, he was very verbally abusive, and then he started punching the car, he started punching himself, he started punching me, and then he started screaming, and I told him he needed to cut it out or I was going to call the cops. He proceeded to just like rip open the car door and jumped out of the car at a red light and just like ran off. So I had to call the cops and basically got him Baker acted, which is basically putting him in a mental institution. Um, at that point is when things started becoming physically abusive. Um, there were incidences like I have videos. I have so many videos. It is ridiculous of where he would basically start screaming at me to my face, like 3 inches from my face, and demanding that I hit him and that I stand up for myself and that I hurt him. And I'm not going to do that. Like, unless you put me in a life threatening situation, I'm not going to throw your ass through a wall. Which I did do once because he got mad because I did his laundry and I did my laundry because he threw his laundry into my laundry basket. He got mad that I did his laundry. And I was trying to sleep because I had to be up for work the next day. And he basically was screaming at me so bad that I just jumped off the bed and I literally slammed him into the wall. And I told him he could either calm down or I was going to choke him out and he's going to go out in the back of a cop car. Because I'm not going to deal with somebody who's threatening my life in my house.
Yeah.
And after that point, it kind of calmed down for a couple days. And then it went right back to 11. It went back to, him demanding that I hit him. There was even one time I had to call the cops because he decided to hit himself in the face with a frying pan.
Wow.
And proceeded to grab a knife and start screaming like a lunatic. And I was like, I'm not having this. I'm not getting blamed for this. I'm calling the cops. So I was, more afraid for my life because at that point he's hitting himself with a frying pan and he's got a knife. I don't know what he's going to do. So when the cops show up, I'm still in my bedroom, not coming out because I'm terrified out of my mind. He's not anywhere in the house. His car is not even there. So now the cops have no idea where he is. They have no idea what's going on. And everybody's just going crazy at this point. Like this was like 2 months after we broke up and we're still living together. He was sleeping on the couch at this point. And that's when the sexual abuse kind of started too, because his boyfriend at the time wasn't giving it to him. So he would force me into having sexual relationships with him because if I didn't, he would start physically, being abusive. He would start hurting me. He would take away the car keys so I couldn't drive to go see my friends. Um, he tried to be more controlling. He controlled what I could eat, what I could not, eat, what I could drink, what I could not drink. At this point, I basically started making the decision to get out of there. My friends were trying to get me out of there. And from that point to like the point where I actually was able to get out, it literally went from pure hell to like chaos mixed in. Like he decided he wanted to use a computer application to use my phone number to start calling the cops. And I'm not saying like once or twice. I'm talking 300-400 calls a day. And
oh my God.
I had the police banging on my door. I had the police, every other hour at my door constantly. And I was losing my shit. I was losing my mind because I couldn't sleep. I couldn't like relax. The cops were constantly at my door. My phone was ringing nonstop because the police departments are trying to get a hold of me to figure out what's going on. And then I'm getting these emails from someone that's pretending to be my parents. And, they're threatening, my life and his life. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I made the decision, and I really regret this decision because I still have issues with my neck because of this. He started doing this thing where he started choking me. Um, and one time, I honestly kind of just like lost my perception of reality because he proceeded to start choking me and he was pinning me down. And I just went full animal mode and I just bit into his arm. And I just didn't want to let go because I was so scared. And I literally was trying to rip his arm off with my teeth. I was so scared. And he's sitting there punching me in the face. And I was just scared because it's like at the point I didn't know if he was going to kill me. I didn't know. And then I finally got him off of me and I just pushed him as hard as I could across the room. And he looked like a scared, wounded animal as he bolted from the room. And I was more terrified of that moment because I didn't know what to expect. That's the first time he's ever choked me. And I didn't call the cops because I was scared he would blame me for assaulting him because I bit him, but at the same time he punched me and he was choking me. So I just stayed in my room for like 3 days and did not come out. Um, there was another time also where, and this is how I got him arrested for domestic assault, actually, because my phone decided it wanted to record this. And I didn't realize my phone recorded this because it detected I was in distress. And I was talking to him and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to block you on Facebook. And I can recommend to anybody, do not say you're going to block somebody on Facebook if you're in a domestic relationship because that just escalates so fast. Like I didn't realize what I was doing and he just snapped. Like he just snapped. Like I've never seen someone go from 0 to 100 as fast as that. He like bolted across the room, proceeded to grab me by the throat, and proceeded to start like, forcibly kissing me, and then like just pushed me off and then ran out of the room. And I was just sitting there for a second. I was like, I don't know what to do. I grabbed the phone. I called the cops. I was like, I don't want to get murdered. I'm calling the cops. Well, he made the decision to run to his job at Disney World. And so the cops are there. They're looking at the footage, and they decide to, put a arrest warrant out for him. That was honestly the one time I felt so relieved because it just was like a weight off my chest.
Yeah.
I called my friends. I was like, look, he's been arrested. He's going to get arrested. I need help. What can we do? And that's when we started planning, how I could get out of the situation. And that's when things started making sense. I mean, I will lie, I kind of was a dumbass. Instead of going to the hospital, in the back of an ambulance because I was bleeding after he stabbed me during that whole chaotic mess and almost broke my arm.
Back up a sec. When he stabbed you, when was that?
Oh, that was during the whole chaotic thing of him choking me and stuff like that.
And he stabbed you?
Yeah, somewhere in the whole mess, I got stabbed in my stomach, and I'm not sure if it was him or something else. But like, all I remember was I'm sitting there bleeding, and I've got bruises on my neck. He almost broke my arm in 2 places. The cops are wanting to take me to the hospital, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to go to the hospital. I went to the
with
police.
A knife?
I'm not sure what he stabbed me with, to be honest.
Right.
Because everything just happened so fast. I'm not sure if he stabbed me with like a pen or something. I think that's why he bolted out of the room, was just because he realized what he did. I don't know. Yeah. Like, I still have the scars on my stomach and stuff, where he got me twice. And they have a tendency to like rip open sometimes and start bleeding. So, but I mean, it was funny because the cops are like, they put out an arrest warrant form and stuff like that. And this just got so much worse over the course of the weekend because it was kind of funny at the same time because I went to the Starbucks down the street and he just happened to be there. And he started demanding that I give him my debit card, which I wasn't going to do. He proceeded to start banging on my car window and all sorts of other things, and was like going crazy and demanding that I run him over with my car. And I'm just like, what is wrong with this man? Like, what did I get myself into? And it kind of just like escalated because I told the cops he was there and everything like that, and they were like, well, we need you to get him back to the house so we can arrest him. And I'm just like, well, I don't want to get murdered. So he texted me like the next day and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, it won't ever happen again. um you know, basic, abusive bullshit, trying to, get the victim to feel like, everything's going to be fine. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Just come back to the house. You can take a shower before you go to work. Um, and just let me know when you're outside. So he gets back to the house. He lets me know he's outside. And I picked up the phone. And I was like, 911 answered. And I was like, hey, could you send the police to my house? I need you to pick up somebody who has a warrant. And so he comes into the house and I'm standing with a knife in my hand making a sandwich. And I was just like, if I get stabbed, I'm stabbing back. Like I'm not messing around. The police show up while he's in the shower to arrest him. And that was one of the best moments of my life because I walked into the bathroom and I was like, here's your shorts, here's your shirt, here's your underwear, here's your socks. Have fun. You're going to jail. And I walked out. And he sounded so pissed. Like the cops even got their tasers out. They were like, we're not messing around. Like, we will tase you if you don't, go quietly. And I think it was the first time yes, the cops basically said you know, they weren't really going to go after him for the stalking and stuff like that after I moved out. But with the 31 counts of misuse of 911 that were also stacked against him, they threw that in there too. So he got charged the second time. He got charged with 32 counts. 31 of those were misuse of 911 and then aggravated stalking with intent to do harm, I think is what's on his docket.
Yeah.
And he's been in jail for a year. Now he's on probation and stuff like that. It's just, I'm currently in the market right now to find a lawyer because I feel like suing the state and him for emotional trauma and damages that I suffered because of their neglect to actually do anything about the situation and proceed to really care about, how I feel, because they wanted to just charge him, throw it out the door, and not really care. And I feel like that was, I didn't really get justice for what I went through because they just wanted to throw it, out the door and just get on with their lives.
Do none of these charges include physical assault? What was basically rape, stabbing you? Are none of those charges included?
None of those. I went back to the police station and I tried to file rape charges, but they said because of the fact that I've been in a relationship with him that they weren't going to proceed with rape charges, even though I have videos of him that he took of him raping me.
Right.
And then there's, the countless hours of footage that's online that I'm still trying to get rid of, where he basically forced me to have sex with him on camera for money.
Right.
Yeah, that's never going away. So
wow,
that's great.
Because I know in this country that's a big aspect of legal proceedings. If you put personal videos online, is that not the same in the States?
It is to a point. They said because I was living with him and that I was in a relationship with him prior to all of this, that they can't really go after him for rape because at some point it was consensual sex. And I'm like, that doesn't, that shouldn't have any matter in this because we were broken up. Like, I didn't ask to be forced into having sex with someone.
Well, that doesn't make sense, because if you say if you have sex with somebody 10 times and you say yes 9 times and say no and one of those 10 times, that's rape. If they carry on without your consent, that's rape.
Yep. And the fact that the police department refuses to even go after him because of that is the reason why I'm suing the state of Florida, basically,
Wow.
because I feel like my entire outlook was basically, oh, we don't care. We just want to get, justice for our 911 misuse calls. We don't really care about what happened to you. And I was even told that by the police too, that they wouldn't have even investigated this or even cared if it wasn't for the misuse of 911 calls. And I'm like, wow. So basically, me as a victim doesn't even matter. I'm just, another person in the system that y'all don't care about. Like that makes me feel really appreciated. I pay your taxes, basically. I pay taxes and pay your salary, but I don't matter to you if I get, abused by some guy who ends up sexually assaulting me and physically abusing me. I don't matter. That makes me feel great. So
Wow. And did you tell anybody else? Did you tell, because obviously you tried to ruin the relationship between you and your mum. And
yeah,
did you tell friends or any other family about what was happening?
my current partner knows. My last therapist knows. Um, I haven't really told a lot of people just because I feel like a lot of people just don't care. Um,
Yeah.
and it's people are just like, oh, you're trying to make yourself seem like a victim, and honestly, I'm not really a victim. I'm a survivor. I
Yeah.
understand he still wants to kill the shit out of me, and I worry about the day he gets off probation that he is going to come after me. So, um, I basically moved to the one place no one would ever look for me, changed my name, and you know, just basically just waiting for that day. So,
And how do you feel about how long has it been since it's been a year, has it? Since
he's been
everything
on
ended?
probation for a year and 1 month. So
Wow.
it's been 3 years since everything happened.
And how do you feel about it now? How do you feel talking to me about it today?
I feel angry. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm autistic, so my emotions don't convey exactly how I feel a
Hmm.
lot of the times. I mean, I have issues with expressing my emotions correctly, so uh, it just makes life a little bit harder for me. But that's the reason why I want to basically sue so badly, because I want them to understand that victims have a right to speak out, and it's more or less, I don't feel like it's fair that they basically just, they didn't even want me to testify. They wanted me to basically just accept his plea agreement and be done with it.
Yeah.
So
That's just horrific what you went through. And how long was the relationship between you and him?
our relationship was a year and a half.
So all that in a year and a half.
Yeah, we lived together for 2 years,
Yeah.
but
That's quite intense for a 2 year period.
oh yeah. I mean, I still have issues with my neck and my arm and stuff. So, I mean, I'm on disability now because of other issues, but I still can't, some days can't deal with my neck. I can't, if I didn't have a backup camera in my car, I wouldn't be able to back my car up. So,
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you.
eh,
And what do you think is your message to anybody that's going through what you
I
went
would,
through?
I would honestly say if you have friends who want to help you get out, get out. I mean, if it involves, having to get the police involved to get out, then get them involved. But don't just sit there and think that it's just that they're going to change, because they're not. They're just going to get worse. Like, I sat there for months thinking, oh, he's going to change, he's going to change. It's just that's just a phase, and then I literally went deeper and deeper into hell. Like, it just got worse every single day. And It's like I look back at photos and I can see like how miserable I was. Like every single day, you can see the photos just get worse and worse, and I'm just like, I honestly, I should have gotten out when I could, but
Well, the one question, the question that I think every survivor gets asked when you tell your story, you went through rape, being stabbed, being hit, being controlled. Why didn't you leave?
for me, it was because I my parents were paying my rent. I didn't have access to money, easily. Um, he controlled everything, including my money too, like what was in my accounts and stuff. He was controlling all of that. So the only way for me to have left was for him to have gone to jail, which is what happened when the police took him
Yeah,
away. I was able to go to the bank and withdraw all my money. I was able to get, have my friends come over and throw everything into 3 cars and drive me to a new place. I mean, if he hadn't been in jail, it would have been so much worse.
yeah,
So, I mean, there's even the aspect too that I still haven't talked about, and that's like I said, he was using an app to basically call 911, but he was also using an app to text my friends, pretending to be me. So I had people messaging me almost all the time asking, about certain messages and stuff like that, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And there was one when he got out of jail. I was in the middle of packing up my stuff, and my phone was in a different room. And next thing I know, I've got 6 police officers in my living room. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Why are all you guys in my living room? And they're like, one of your friends called us. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I picked up my phone. I called my friend. She's like, dude, I got this text from you saying that he's here. He's trying to kill me and all sorts of things. And I'm just like, what is going on right now? And the police are like, well, we're going to stay until you leave just to make sure you're okay. And I'm just like, I'm losing my mind at this point. And they're like, I don't remember sending these messages. And I'm pretty sure I didn't send these messages. But at this point, I don't know if I'm going crazy.
yeah. So, so he's even controlling you from a distance.
But yeah, I mean, even the fact that he was controlling my electronics, I still don't trust things.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm constantly changing my passwords. I'm wiping my computers. I mean, I have a background in IT work, so I'm constantly scrubbing my computers just to be safe. I mean, it takes a lot of work to put stuff back back on your computers, but I guess you never go back to feeling safe after somebody invades your privacy like that. So
no, because you still feel unsafe and you still feel threatened by him now, don't you?
I don't feel as much as being threatened now. I mean, if he showed up at my front door, I probably would have no hesitation to just drop kick him straight off my porch. I mean, I'm not even kidding. I would straight
Fair play
drop
to
kick
you.
him off my porch. I mean, and then call the cops. I mean, I have neighbors. My neighbors have guns, and my neighbors are all up in my business. So if he were to show up, my neighbors would handle the situation.
Fair play. So where do you go? Where do you go from here? How's your life going now?
I'm just trying to move on. Like I'm trying to have a normal relationship with this guy that I'm with now, who understands, that I can't show love, I can't show, certain emotions that I was able to show a couple of years ago that this guy basically broke. I can't trust people. I have issues trusting him. I call him a liar. I mean, I know he's not lying to me, but it feels that way sometimes, like
Yeah,
I can't seem to trust somebody even though I have no reason not to.
and he's understanding of all that.
Yep. Yep.
That's good. That's good that you've got somebody who's supportive like that with you now.
Yeah. It's been a weird roller coaster ride for the last 2 years. I mean, I didn't think I was gonna start dating again. I mean, it was almost a year before I even considered the aspect of dating again. I mean, this guy was just, he came out of nowhere, basically. I mean, I still feel like I can't trust people. I'm always afraid because one of his exes that he dated right after me, um, my abusive one, messaged me after he got arrested for all the stuff and was about to get, sentenced and all that stuff, and was telling me that this guy was putting people in my life and paying them to
Yeah.
basically, get information about me and all sorts of stuff. And now that makes me more cautious about having friends and stuff. And I only have maybe one or two people I even talk to anymore because I just can't trust people. And being told that, he basically would hire private investigators to figure out information about me. He would have people, pretend to be my friends to get information about what I'm doing. That just makes me even, the fact that we haven't dated for 2 years and he's still obsessed with me. That's what really kills me.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want anything to do with this monster, and he wants everything to do with me. It's like, I just want to move on.
I find it really strange that he wanted you to really hurt him. He wanted you to run over him and stuff. And I just wondered if you had any idea of why that was.
He's, I wouldn't say he's mentally incompetent, but he's definitely not all the way there. I mean, if you're smacking yourself in the face with a frying pan, you've definitely got some brain cells missing. Because I don't know if just he has like an underlying mental health issue that like contributed to all of this, but he definitely had a mental break at some point in our relationship.
Well, I think you're very brave coming forward today and talking about everything that happened to you and being very honest. Thanks very much for that.
I mean, there's nothing to lie about. I mean, lying wouldn't help anything. It would just make everything worse. So being honest really is the only way to go.
I hope a lot more men come forward and tell their story on this show, because I think the bravery of the men that have come forward is just so humbling.
I mean, we go through it. I mean, it does change who you are. I mean, I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago. I can definitely tell you that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't ask for it. I didn't even realize it was happening until, I realized he had like 6 credit cards that were maxed out at 20 some $1,000 each. That's when I started put that together. It's like, oh, so he basically is just using credit cards to buy me things, like I said earlier, and he's not really paying them, you know. I mean,
Well,
there's so much. I mean, we could be here for hours, and I could just be like, I could go like even small details that you would just blow your mind. I mean, like I said, it was a year and a half of just constant, just after it was about 6 months in Florida, or no, it was about a year because it was August to August, but I moved out at the beginning of August when
yeah.
he was arrested. So
Well, that is a lot for somebody to go through in that short period of time. That's, like I said earlier, it's very intense.
it was a train wreck. I mean, it was just like a slow motion train wreck. I mean,
Well, I thank you for sharing your train wreck with us today.
you're welcome.
And I hope everything it turns out great for you.
Yeah, I mean, the only worst thing that can happen to me is him showing up on my front lawn. Man,
Just drop kick him, like you said.
yeah. I mean, I got plenty of things I can throw in here. I'm not afraid of that. Insurance will cover all of it. So,
Well, thank you very much for talking to me today.
no, you're welcome.
You take care, yeah?
You too.
Bye bye now. Hello and thank you for listening. I'd like to thank Henry for talking to me on the show today, as I'd like to thank all my guests who've appeared on the show so far for bravely telling me their stories. I hope that many more men will come forward to talk on FTD Talk, as male victims of domestic violence is not a myth. We need to get the word out there. We need to be honest about ourselves, about what we've been through. Together we can beat this. No more silence. Thank you. See you next week. Peace.
Nothing I could do is ever good enough for you.